Okay, looks like we're live. Thanks everybody for joining us here on Zoom, and also if you're watching us on the website or YouTube or Facebook. We are happy to be back. We've been off of Show and Tell Fridays for about a month as we were all deeply involved in high holidays, so we're back now. And we're going to try to be back about twice a month for all different sorts of topics, but since tonight is Erev Sukkot, our topic naturally is the Sukkah. So hopefully a lot of you had a chance to build your own Sukkah at home, which is exactly what Rabbi Morgen did yesterday. So he is here with us to talk about building his Sukkah, about the Sukkah in general, about Sukkot, and any questions that anyone has. So if you're here with us on Zoom, you're welcome to put your comments or questions in the chat. And if you're watching on Facebook, you can put your questions in the Facebook feed there and we will answer them as we go. Okay, so just to start off, put us kind of in context, like where in the Torah is building the Sukkah and all of these instructions about building the Sukkah, like put us in context.
Okay, so there's three pilgrimage festivals that are mentioned in the Bible. The first one is Passover in the springtime. The second one is Shavuot, the Feast of Weeks, which comes 50 days after Passover. And then the one in the fall called the Feast of Booths, Sukkot. So Sukkah is booth in Hebrew, and the plural is Sukkot, booths. And the Torah tells us that we're supposed to dwell in booths for the week. And it doesn't tell us how to build one or what they're supposed to be like. So naturally, in the rabbinic period, about 2,000 years ago, we're a religion of rules and laws. And so the rabbis put on their lawyer hats and made all kinds of rules about what constitutes a legal sukkah. The minimum amount of a sukkah, many people say, is 3 walls. It can have an open wall, but actually can have 3 walls and a doorway in one of the 3 walls. So the minimum sukkah is actually 2.5 walls, because then there's a half a wall that counts as a door. Okay, and it has to be a certain height so that you don't have to be, that you can sit comfortably in the sukkah sitting down. So it doesn't have to be 10 feet tall. Somebody actually wrote me and asked me about that. It has to be basically a height where you can sit comfortably seated. So it doesn't have to be even as tall to stand up, just to sit down. And there's some other requirements of it. The main requirement of the sukkah is it has these walls and that it has a temporary roof. The rest of the sukkah can be permanent, although most of them are not. But the main thing is the roof has to be temporary. It has to be made out of branches. You have to be able to see the sky at nighttime. In the old days before we had light pollution and other kinds of pollution, you'd actually be able to see the stars.
Not in Houston, but somewhere else, right?
Yeah, right. And you also have to, it has to be able to let the rain in. Now, we also said that it's supposed to be Zman Simchatenu, the time of our great joy. That's what it says in the Bible about this festival particularly. It's supposed to be a happy occasion. So the rabbi said, look, if it's raining and it's going to mess up your food, you don't have to sit outside. You can eat inside. But other than that, we're supposed to dwell in it. And what does dwelling mean? It means eating primarily. Also sleeping if you can, studying text. Of course, the rabbis recommended studying text. So
of course.
Learning, of course. Welcoming guests in, so having like a social event inside your sukkah, and you can welcome guests in for food. Those are the kinds of things that constitute dwelling. When I lived in California, I actually did sleep out in the sukkah because the weather's always beautiful in LA. And I just took a sleeping bag. I was also a lot younger. And so I took a sleeping bag, put it out of the sukkah, and had a good time sort of camping out, so to speak. I haven't done it.
You could do that now. This is like the nicest week of the year here. But I don't know if you'd want to do it if it were, earlier in September or too much later. So, this could be your time.
Maybe I'll try it tonight for the first time. Anyway, another thing is about this festival is that it talks about Hidur, the pre-Eitz Hadar. It mentioned the lulav that you're supposed to take with the myrtle branches and willow twigs. Talks about the pre-Eitz Hadar, the branch of the beautiful fruit. The word Hadar means beautiful, and from that the rabbis created this whole other part of the thing, which is hidur mitzvah, to beautify the commandment. And
Mm-hmm.
so besides building the sukkah, you're supposed to decorate it, put up all kinds of
Gotcha.
decorations. We'll show you how I decorated ours, and I can tell you some other possible decorations that are easy to do.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So those are the basic things there.
All right. That sounds like a good transition into some pictures here.
Okay.
So let's go to the slideshow.
Chag Sameach.
Yay, Chag Sameach always. Okay, there we go.
Okay, so Diane and I, 15 years ago, this is our 15th year using this sukkah. We bought a prefab sukkah from Lighters, which is one of the sukkah websites that sells prefab sukkahs. They sell one that's designed specially for the weather in Houston. That is, it has screened windows. So there's zippered windows. You can unzip them, roll them up, and there's a screen behind it. I don't know if it keeps out mosquitoes exactly. It keeps out slightly bigger bugs.
Maybe not Houston mosquitoes, but maybe someone else's mosquitoes.
It's hard to keep out Houston mosquitoes. But anyways, it's screened, and that means that it allows some air to flow, right? Which is what you want in a hot climate. So, of course, our ancestors, your ancestors came from Poland and Russia like mine did, Sukkot is already cold weather, so you wouldn't want this, but here we are in hot weather. So screened windows is really nice to have. You can also put a fan.
Do some of the prefabricated ones come a little bit more heat insulated also if you were somewhere else? Okay.
Well, they're just a more heavy canvas kind of thing.
Okay.
Now we put fans in our sukkah if it's warm outside, so electric fans to add an extra breeze. But if it's really cold outside, you could put an electric heater outside to heat it up. So you can either way. So here's kind of the parts of the sukkah. We kind of laid them out on the grass so you can see the differences. On the left there is the bamboo branches that are kind of rolled up. That's the schach. Bamboo counts as branches for this purpose. And you can buy prefab rolls of bamboo. And we unroll those and put those on the top. You'll see what that looks like. This is the last year we're going to be able to use these prefab bamboo ones. They're starting to fall apart. So I just ordered more for next year. But they lasted about 5 years before they kind of snapped and broke and made it hard. Then I separated all the different metal bars out into the different kinds, which is why they're separated out on the grass there. You'll see that there's one set all the way on the right that's longer. Our sukkah is 10 feet by 16 feet. So the 10-foot one is the width, and that's what the long ones are on the right. They're the cross beams for the sukkah. To get 16 feet, they put two 8-foot poles together. So the 8-foot ones are on the left, and that's why there's so many of them, because we need twice as many, 4 times as many, really. It's because it's double length on each side. And then there's the cross beams and door parts, and I'll show you how it's all put together.
Okay, so how long does it take you to put this together?
So my son used to help me every year. He helped me a little bit this year. He had to study a lot, so he couldn't help me too much. So I did it with Diane. So the two of us took a little bit longer, about an hour and a half, I'd say, to put everything.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, hour and a half, 2 hours, it's up and easy.
Gotcha.
Easy.
Okay. So there's all the parts. Now, where do we put the sukkah?
Okay, so first of all, I'm wearing my Camp Young Judea t-shirt.
I did notice that.
Yes, and and to be thoroughly Texan, that's a NASA cap on top. The logo in the middle is for the 50th anniversary of Apollo 11. I got it, about a year or two ago. Anyway, okay, so here you can see how we put up the 10-foot side. So those are the long beams, 10 feet across, and there's corner beams. And in a minute, we'll show you the linkages so you can see how it puts together with a mallet. You'll see down on the floor on the left is a mallet. So in case you're having trouble of just fitting them in, you can fit it in and then pound the mallet a little bit, and they fit pretty tightly. Okay. So here's the other side, the other 10-foot side. This is the side with the doorway. This is very clever design. You notice the cross beam here doesn't go all the way across, so that there's an open space for the doorway. And the pole that's upright there can slide back and forth so that you can get it to slide just to fit with that cross beam and create the doorway on the other side of it. Okay. Well, go back one more step.
Oh, sorry. Yep.
Yeah. So you can see over on the left there, that's what the joints look like. So you can see how they fit right into these little sockets, and you just fit it in, tap it if you want with a mallet, and you're done. So all the joints fit together just like that.
Looks easy.
Yeah, it is. It's really simple. Okay, so once you get the whole frame up, then it comes with a canvas that you just unroll. And the canvas, you start at one end and you just roll it all the way around the perimeter of the sukkah. Up at the top, you'll see the kind of scalloped edge up there. Underneath the scalloped edging is large Velcro pads. And so it just flips right over the frame, and then the two Velcro things snap together. And it's a series of them all along the whole frame. You can see the zippered windows beneath it. The zipper lines are vertical. And then just below the windows are these little blue tabs, and that's also Velcro. They fit over the bar and then attached by Velcro to keep it from blowing around. And at the bottom, you can kind of make out a little bit of a white thing in the center there on the right of the step stool. So there's, again, Velcro flaps at the bottom that you flip up and attach to keep it attached firmly at the bottom also. So it's all Velcro. Doesn't require anything at all, and it takes a very short amount of time to put that all together. Now on the right side, you can see Diane kind of peeking through the doorway. So it has a screened doorway. So you can see the white part is the screen. So you can zipper the screen shut and leave the doorway open otherwise, so you can get air inside, or you can zipper the canvas outside also closed. And that's how you get into the sukkah. And then the window is over to the right again, and on the left side, you can see the windows.
Very cool.
Now there's Diane peeking through the window. So I opened up one of the windows so you can see what that looks like. I unzipped it on two sides, rolled it up, and you can see it rolled up underneath the scalloped edge at the top there. And they have, they're very clever. They have little cloth, little loops with little knobby things, so that once you roll it up, you stick the knobby thing through the loop and it holds the window rolled up at the top. I mean, they thought of everything. And there's a crossbar over on the left that goes across the center of the sukkah there. You can see up at the top left.
Okay. So now we're looking at the roof.
So now you have to put up wooden beams to hold the bamboo roll. So there's wooden beams that they give you. And so you put the wooden beams out across first, that's on the left, and then you roll the bamboo mats over it on top, and that's what you see on the right.
So for the sukkah that we build at Beth Yeshurun, what do we use for the sukkah for that?
We use real branches. I'm not sure where we get them from. We might just trim our trees or something.
I think our landscapers help us out quite a bit with that. Yes. But we don't have something that's prefabricated. We actually gather real branches every year.
Yeah, we use real branches and put up lights, which I didn't do here, but we can talk about that. You can put up little strings of lights. And
we hang fruit.
Yeah, and
pretend fruit, not real fruit.
Well, not real fruit, right? We can talk about that too. There's in Los Angeles, because Los Angeles, as most people know, has tons of palm trees. This is kind of cool. The city trims its palm trees in a couple of weeks before Sukkot every year, and then has a few locations around the city where they dump all the palm branches that they trimmed, because they know the Jews want to use them for building sukkahs. And
nice.
Come in and take the palm branches. Yeah, so we used to do that.
That's really nice.
That is pretty cool, yeah. Okay, so that's kind of that. Okay, so now decorating. So over the years, I bought a few posters, which I'll show you where you can get them. There's some websites you can get posters to put up. The one on the left is done by our movement. The Masorti movement is the conservative movement in Israel and most of Europe. And so you can see the logo for the Masorti movement in the bottom right corner of the left poster. And this was a very clever Yellow Pages ad that they designed many years ago, when they were trying to make the point that a lot of Israelis, are a little disappointed that in certain ultra-Orthodox communities, there's so many people who are not doing army service and even not working because they basically study all day in a yeshiva. So the movement produced a yellow pages to show all the sages of the past who had real jobs. And so the big one on the right there is Maimonides in the turban, who of course was a doctor. And on the left, it's kind of just above the picture at the corner, is Rashi, who was a vintner. He grew grapes and made wine, but the other ones are all other kinds of jobs that famous rabbis had. Now, of course, that's a bit of a problem for us here in this country because most rabbis here can't afford to have a job and do a full-time job as a rabbi. So
no, we keep you pretty busy.
Yes. So Maimonides used to say, don't use the Torah as a spade to dig with. You shouldn't use the Torah as a means to make a living. And that's why he was a doctor. But then he described his ridiculous work hours where he'd spend all day being a doctor and be a rabbi at night until the wee hours of the morning. Not many people can do that. And so most of the rest of the world decided that they would not pay their rabbis to be rabbis. They're paying their rabbis not to do something else, right? So I used to be a lawyer, so I'm getting paid not to be a lawyer, basically, is what the legal fiction is. Anyway, the point was everybody doesn't have to be studying all day long. Most people can have a useful employment and study on the side. It's certainly a good idea to study, but not to make that your sole occupation unless you are really serving a community as a rabbi. Okay, that's that one. The one in the middle or on the right is the Shivat Taminim. That's the 7 species that grow in Israel. And the quotation at the bottom is from the book of Deuteronomy where it's mentioned. So top right, it's wheat, and then barley, and then grapes, and then figs. And on the bottom, it's pomegranates, olives, and the last one is honey, but Bible scholars say it didn't mean honey from bees, it meant date honey. So that's a picture of
Okay.
So that's the 7 species. That's another way to decorate your sukkah. You're living out in nature. So what better way to celebrate nature than the 7 species that were known to be prominent in Israel, according to that verse in Deuteronomy.
Okay. There we go.
So there is, okay, on the left is kind of a neat picture of nature. And there's a bunch of quotes around the side, but the one in the center, I think, captures the purpose of this. Again, the Sukkot, the idea is to get back to nature, to live in the natural world, to remember that the world isn't our confined artificial physical homes, but that the real world is out there. And so this is a poster in the center. It says, Kol haneshama tehalel Yah, all living beings will praise God. And so it has pictures of all the different animals, which, when you see the beauty of all the different wildlife and flowers and everything, that sort of sings God's praises. And so there's other verses kind of like that around the side. And it's just a kind of a reminder of getting back to nature while you're trying to do that in your booth. On the right side is welcoming women into the sukkah. And so there's some different women and some of the symbols that they were known for. The top right, for instance, is the prophet Deborah, who sat under her date palm and judged cases. She's the only judge in the book of Judges that actually judged cases, according to the book. None of the other people who are mentioned there actually judged any cases, but she did. And that's important because women don't, unfortunately, get too prominent notice in the Bible. And here was a woman who clearly was a scholar. And so she sat under her date tree and judged cases. And so she's mentioned there with her date tree. And the other women are also biblical with some symbols. On the left, for instance, is, in the middle, top middle is Miriam with musical notes, right? Because Miriam sang songs, saying Micha Mocha. Okay, next one.
I just had a comment. So in the chat, Adam mentioned at his childhood synagogue, when the rabbi first arrived, he hung real fruit from the sukkah, but it attracted an enormous number of flies. And so they switched to plastic fruit instead after that, I think.
Yes.
That would be a mistake of a novice rabbi, perhaps.
Yeah, right. Most people don't put up real fruit, sadly. So we use plastic fruit now.
Yeah, not here, no.
But yeah. So, okay. So We welcome spiritual guests in addition to real guests into our sukkah. So that the picture of the women was one way to do that. On the right, the poster on the right here is the ushpizin, the guests that we welcome into the sukkah that are traditionally done. On the top row are the men, because originally it was a male-centered faith, unfortunately.
So I want to interrupt real quick. Can you explain, because this was one of my questions. I think people hear the word ushpizin, but they don't really know what it means. Can you define that a little bit better?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I love to tell this. I learned about this, I think, in rabbinical school. Ushpizin, it sounds like a funny word. It's not Hebrew. That's why it sounds funny. It actually is a loan word. We borrowed it from Latin. And the Latin word entered the English language also as hospice. I know it doesn't sound like it, but that's what it is. Language scholars say that ushpiz comes from hospice, and hospice from hospitality, right? Welcoming guests. So ushpizin are guests. Now, of course, we invite real guests, friends and family into our sukkah. The idea is to do that, to celebrate together. But we also invite some spiritual guests, and the traditional ones were the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, David, Moses, and Aaron. And so those guests are on the top row in the ushpizin poster on the right. This is an egalitarian ushpizin poster, however, and so it includes the bottom row are women to invite. And so it includes Deborah, Ruth, Miriam, Rachel, Rebecca, and Sarah. So, so that's the ushpizin. And then I have another ushpizin poster for other women who are especially known for being brilliant scholars and encouraging education. The one in the middle is the one who top is the one most people will know. That's Henrietta Zold. She's the founder of the Hadassah movement, but was a brilliant scholar at the Jewish Theological Seminary at the turn of the century. She applied to study at the Jewish Theological Seminary. This is kind of a bizarre story. Not bizarre that she would apply, but that they accepted her only on the condition that she would not attempt to become a rabbi. It just goes to show you how sensitive men were back then. So she did, but she was a brilliant scholar as well as an amazing political leader, founder of the Hadassah movement and many other things. On the bottom right is some of you may know also Nechama Leibowitz, who was a 20th century Jewish scholar who taught Bible at Hebrew University for decades. And people all over the world, she would write a column on the Torah portion of the week, and then have essay questions that she would write at the end, and people would actually write her the answer that their essay answers, and she would correct every single one of them and write the back. An amazing woman, kind of
Wow.
like a Ruth Bader Ginsburg in the Jewish scholarly world.
Yeah.
Yeah, tremendous woman. Anyway, on the left side is a more traditional ushpizin chart with the seven men, and there's a symbol for each one of them.
Great. So
Okay,
then,
so that's that. Those are those posters. We have a picture of sort of, yeah. So here you see two different views of our sukkah with the posters being hung up. In the picture on the right, you see the back wall. That's the 10-foot wall, and then on the left side of that right picture is the long wall going along our house, where the posters are up. And I opened up a window on that side also, because behind that window is an outdoor light, one of our yellow outdoor lights. So when we sit in the sukkah, you can turn that light on. It helps to light up the inside of the sukkah. So I opened that window. On the left side is the rest of that wall with the open window. You can see the ushpizin poster in the corner. And on the other side is facing east in our house. And so that's where I put a poster of the Temple Mount so that you know which direction is east to face the temple. And the blessing for Kiddush is as a poster right next to it. With the schach overhead, you can see the schach overhead in the poster.
right. Great. All right, I'm going to stop sharing.
Okay.
So then I had one more thing I wanted to, there we go. You mentioned early on about the lulav and the etrog, and that's one of the things that we do as we dwell in the sukkah. Can you talk a little bit about what the parts of the lulav and the etrog and kind of how
Right.
it's all put together and what they mean?
Right. So we did another video earlier. Is that going to be, that'll be available to people, right?
I was going to mention that. Yes.
Yeah, okay, good. Yeah. So I did describe, I have that in that video, I have a lulav and an etrog, and I described the different parts, but briefly there's a palm branch in the center, which is just an unspread out branch. So it's very straight up, and it kind of represents a spine. And then on the left side are the willow twigs. Willow twigs have long leaves that we say look like lips. And so that helps you to remind you that those go on the left side because they look like lips, LL, right? Left lips. So on the left side, you put 2 myrtle twigs, willow twigs, and on the right side, you put 3 myrtle twigs. And the myrtle twigs have sort of rounder leaves that look like eyes. And so you, and then of course the etrog is a cousin to the lemon. So it looks a little like a heart. It's about the size of a heart. And so we say it represents the heart. So you've got 4 parts of the body, and the sages tell us that what it's telling us to do is we're supposed to use our eyes to see the world with wonder and delight, to see it in a positive way, to see things in a positive, optimistic, kind way. It's easy to be negative, especially in our world. So it's reminding us not to do that. And then lips to only speak good things, nice things about people, not to spread lashon hara, gossip, and sort of things that are bad, only to say good and nice things, and that's with our lips. To have a spine for a backbone, to stand up to bad things that happen in the world, to say this is wrong, to stand up against it. And finally, to have a heart, you know, to embrace people with love and compassion. And so we take all these different parts of the body, and then we wave them in the different directions to indicate that God is all around us, to sort of say that we're going to use all the parts of our body with God's wisdom to try and make the world a better place in these various different ways.
Right. I wonder if everybody realized all that went into that ritual of the lulav and etrog. That's the first time I've heard all the significance of each of the different parts.
Yes.
So
there's another
really
version of it that says one of them smells nice but doesn't taste. One of them tastes nice but doesn't smell. Okay. One of them has both, and one doesn't have either one, and they all represent something else. But I like the one with parts of the body better.
I like that one. I like that one a lot. So on the first 2 days of Sukkot, we'll have services. It just so happens that this time it falls over Shabbat, so we would have had services the first day anyway. But those days that we have services, what sort of special things do we do for Sukkot? Are there special prayers, special readings? How is that different than?
Yeah, all during the week, actually, there's a Torah reading for every day. Mm-hmm. And on Shabbat, we don't wave the lulav because it's the Sabbath. Rabbis were afraid that you'd carry your lulav outside the Eruv. It's kind of a technical issue. But for whatever reason, so you don't wave the lulav on Shabbat. So the first day of Sukkot, we won't do that. We'll wait till Sunday. But every day you kind of make a march around the perimeter of the sanctuary. If you're waving lulav that day, then you hold your lulav and etrog while you do it. And you sing certain prayers called Hoshanot, which mean save us. So this probably originally goes back to the idea that Sukkot is a harvest festival. We're trying to, we have actually a farmer in our congregation, and I mentioned it to him and he says, yes, it is indeed. This is the harvest festival, and we want to get the harvest in before the rains come and ruin the crops. And so we're asking God to make sure that things will work out well during the harvest festival, and in the coming years we plant for the next harvest. So that's probably was the original agricultural purpose. But of course, over the course of the centuries of Jewish history, we also didn't have pleasant times always. And so many people embellished these Hoshanot prayers with prayers that God would help us deal with whatever was going on. Today, we should write a new one for the coronavirus. Anyway.
Yeah, we could.
But in any case, so we sing those Hoshanot while we go around. That made it into the English language through the New Testament as Hosanna. So when they would sing Hosanna, Hosanna, right? That
Mhm.
comes from the Hebrew Hoshana, which means
Okay.
save us, please.
Okay. We had a question on Facebook, somebody who missed the beginning. What is the roof of your sukkah made of, and how is it all connected?
Yeah, so the poles are made out of metal, and they're just connected. Just the metal fits into the metal. There's like these little square um, square loops that these square things stick right into. And so you don't need nails, you don't need screwdriver. You just need that mallet. You really don't even need that. You just push it into the joints, and then they fit together.
Okay. And then the roof part, the sukkah, what is yours made out of?
So it's made out of bamboo. Bamboo counts as branches, and so they're kind of held together with a certain kind of string that is considered kosher. So
And you said the lifespan of that, you can sort of pre-order that prefab done, and it's about 5 years or so?
Yeah, after 5 years, because the bamboo is kind of brittle, so it breaks. And once it breaks,
Right.
it makes it hard to roll out. So I've been dealing with it for 5 years, and I decided it's time to get a new one. So for our size sukkah, since I just ordered, I can tell you, the kind we ordered is going to cost us it's, I guess, pricey, $250 for 2 rolls that will completely cover a 10-foot by 16-foot sukkah.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll probably last about 5 years. So
Right. Okay, so if you wanted to, it might be a little late now, but for next year, plan ahead, and you wanted to get this sort of prefab sukkah for yourself, where would you look for something like that?
Yeah, so let me, I'm going to try this share screen here myself so I can show you a couple things here. Okay, so first of all, the posters, a couple of the posters we got. If you like egalitarian type posters, I recommend this website. It's called Haggadahs Are Us. They have great Haggadahs for Passover. And over here you see on the left it says posters, so I clicked on that tab. This is the one that I showed you for the Ushpizot. It's the one I actually have in my sukkah. Here's another couple of them. These are new ones. I don't have this one.
I like that one.
Yeah, the alphabet one looks kind of cool.
It's pretty.
36 Reasons to be Radically Jewish. That's kind of fun. Those are new. This is another one I have on my sukkah. This one came from them. And here's the Yellow Pages ad that also came from them. This is kind of a fun cartoonish scene of Jerusalem with the city of David, the citadel in the back there. And then there's another alphabet one, and Judaism is in your hands. That's kind of cool. So
I like that too.
Those are some posters from them. Let me see if I can take you to see if I can move this around here. So can you see this now?
Lighter sukkah?
Yeah.
Yep.
So my sukkah I ordered from Lighter Sukkah, and you can see it's this one over here, the Sunshine Sukkah with the windows. There's the doorway over there. So you can order it in different sizes, but you can also use any of these. It's the Easy Lock, same one as this one, Easy Lock with windows. This might be a slightly different version, but this is the one that we got. And then they have others that are, all kinds of other kinds of things. But they also have a site here for, let's see, decorations. Okay, so here's some posters that they sell. If you want to see some posters there. And then there's another website that has posters. There's a few of them. This is Eichler's, which has some very kind of more orthodox ones. But there's your 7 species. Some other kind. There's one with the animals, and some other kind of posters like that. So that's enough of that. There's just some ideas over there for places you can go.
Cool. Let's see. So Adam had another comment last year on YouTube. He found how to build a temporary sukkah for city dwellers on the back of a rented truck. I actually saw that video as well. It was quite entertaining to watch. But there's a lot of do-it-yourself kind of things out there. You can find, if you dig around a little bit, there's some that will tell you exactly the number of 2x4s you need, or of, pipes or whatever. There's all different kinds of ways you can do it. And you can use sides of your house as well, so that you don't, yours is
Yes.
actually a standalone. Yours is 4 sides, and so it could
Right.
stand anywhere, but you could actually
You can
use parts
the
of your
wall
own house.
Yes, right. You can exactly. The walls don't have to be temporary. The walls can be permanent walls. The main thing
Right.
is the roof. The roof has to be open to the sky at the part you're going to sit under. So if you have an awning that goes partway over, that's okay as long as the part you use for the sukkah is open to the air. So and that way you can use the wall of your house, because usually there's an awning that covers part of it.
Mm-hmm.
When I was so my first year of law school in Westwood, I lived in a Jewish co-op house on the Fraternity Row, and we had a large parking lot in the front, and I designed an enormous sukkah. I think it was like 24 feet by 16 feet, and we just basically went out and bought 2x4s, nailed them all together, put it up, and that's what we did. Yeah.
When you were young and creative and had a lot of energy to do that sort
those
of
are the
thing.
good old days. But then we invited a whole bunch of students to come over. We would have like 50, 60 people out in this enormous
Right.
sukkah and sing, and we had a little bit of alcoholic beverages, I think. I don't remember, but
It's a joyous holiday, so sure.
might have done that for people who it was legal to drink.
Of course.
Right.
Cool. Anyway. So I guess I'll promote a couple of things that we have out there. We've got in our digital resources on our High Holiday page, Rabbi Morgen recorded a video that shows you the how to shake the lulav and etrog, and again talks about all the different parts of it, and also goes through the prayer, the blessing that you say, and when you dwell in Sukkah, and that when you shake the lulav. So that's out there as a resource.
You want to show them maybe on the website where that is?
Sure. If you go to our website and up in the top, you'll see in red letters High Holidays. You go to our High Holiday page and there is a section that says digital resources. And when you click on that, right there at the top are the Sukkot resources.
Perfect.
So it's right there. And then also, if you are a member today, you'll get the 7th of the series of our roadmap to 5781. And Rabbi Morgen recorded a video for that as well about Sukkot, and that one is really more focused on sort of the spiritual aspect of it. We looked inward for the high holidays, and now we're looking outward, and it's another take on this. Today we talked about a lot of sort of logistical things, and this one is much more spiritual to sort of complement what we're talking about today. And if you're not on our distribution list, it'll be posted on Facebook on Sunday, so you can catch up with it there. It will also be on our YouTube page if you want to watch it. So this plus that really give you a really good kind of overall education on Sukkot, I think. And if you want to fulfill the mitzvah of dwelling in the Sukkah, you can do that if you're a member. In our Sukkah, we've got open Sunday through Thursday, a couple of different time slots that you can bring your own dairy meal, sit in the Sukkah. We'll provide the drinks and desserts, and you'll be able to enjoy the amazing weather we have right now and fulfill the mitzvah of dwelling in the Sukkah. Anything else you can think of we can add?
No, I think that sounds great.
I think we've covered a lot of Sukkot this week with a lot of videos, so that's great.
Hopefully people will be able to celebrate, even despite all the crazy things out there. We'll celebrate. It is still a beautiful world, and there's a lot of wonderful people, and we should celebrate the gift of life and celebrating together.
Amazing. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on Zoom or our website or YouTube or Facebook. And we will be back with another Show and Tell Friday in just a couple of weeks. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Chag Sameach.
Chag Sukkot Sameach. Bye.
Thank you.